very special guest tonight, world-famous legend of bodybuilding, Bill Grant. Welcome, legend. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, just fine, James. Thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Say hi to all your fans out there.
Hey, how you doing? Wait a minute. That's the way I say hi. Yeah.
I want to kind of talk to the fans out there and have you talk to them. Tell them how you got started lifting, and more importantly, tell them when you started lifting.
I can tell you, I actually started when I was 9 years old. My father used to be a professional fighter, and I was a real small kid, smaller than most kids in the neighborhood. And I kind of loved exercise. My father used to take me to his boxing gym. He used to be a professional fighter, by the way. He was ranked third as a light heavyweight in the world back in the 1940s and 50s. So I used to love going to the gym when he was practicing and stuff, and it just rubbed off on me, and I wanted to start lifting weights. But of course, at 9 years old, the kid's too young to be lifting weights, so they told me you can't do it. I tried it again at about 12, and they said again, no, you're still too young. Then at 14, I really got started. But again, in that reason, when I got started, I was 4'9", 110 pounds. This was in high school in the 9th grade. I virtually was the smallest kid in the school. I used to get beat up by girls. That's how bad it was. Then my father decided he needed to teach me how to box so I could protect myself. So I learned a little bit of that. But I was still getting in fights like crazy. I even had to get my sisters to fight for me. This is how bad it was. So I said that was it. I read the old Charles Atlas books. I mean, you've seen the comic books. They probably don't have it today, but back in the day, James, you've seen that.
Oh, I've seen it.
They've got the articles in the back with Charles Atlas. Of course, I ordered every course in the book, and I was like that kid kicking the chair, you know, ordering it, looking in the mirror, little skinny little guy. So I got Charles Atlas courses, and I kind of went through them, and that dynamic tension was okay, but it didn't really hit the mark. So then I ordered George F. Joette's courses. Remember George F. Joette?
Yeah. You're on old school.
He used to have what they call the fulcrum bells.
Yes.
It was like a little stick with like a broomstick with a brick on the end. And the further you put it out, the more the leverage was and the heavier the bar would be. I went through that, and okay, I made a little bit of progress. And then I saw the Joe Weider magazines, Mr. America, wow, Muscle Builder. Now that was the magazine. I mean, he had weights there. I ordered his courses, and all the great guys, Jack LaLanne, Jack Dillinger, you had Zabel Kazuski, you had all these guys doing courses, Dave Draper. So they worked real good. But then I really needed to get to a gym. And I'm still 14 years old. I joined the YMCA. That probably was the best thing I ever could have done after training in basements and attics and bedrooms with wooden benches, the whole 9 yards. But the YMCA wasn't too much better. But I mean, at least it provided me the atmosphere to work out in. And I can tell you some of the equipment real quick of what it looked like when I first walked into the Y. It was one room. It had like plank boards across, 2x4s, little cracks in the middle. You could see little roaches and mice running through. Then we had a exhaust fan on one side and a regular window flap on the other, and the exhaust fan was pulling everything in from the locker rooms because we were right next to the locker room and the steam rooms. Really hot, but it was great. That's where I got my start. And I just trained, and I used to train 5 hours a workout. I'd get out of school, and about 3:30, 4 o'clock, I was at the Y. I didn't leave until the Y was closed. They used to have to throw me out sometimes. That's how bad it was. But it went on and on and on, but obviously I wasn't making much progress, but how could you if you're training 5 hours a workout?
A little overtraining, Bill.
So I finally met a friend of mine. He's now a friend of mine. His name was Randy Coyle. He was probably about 25 at the time, maybe 24 at the time, and he seemed to take a little interest. He saw me working out, had my sweatpants on, and he thought maybe I had a pretty good frame and I could probably get somewhere. So I remember the first time I was working out, he says, "Hey kid, why don't you take off those sweatpants so you can see those skinny little legs working out? You need to squat." Squat? Wow.
What's a squat, man?
Yeah, so, all right, there was a bar there. What had on plumber's pipe was the rack, and so I started doing squats. But he gave me a routine. He only gave me like 4 exercises: squats, dips, chins, and pullovers. And I says, "Excuse me? How am I going to build a physique with that? I mean, in the magazines, they told you got to do bench presses, you got to do curls, you got to do pull downs, you got to do shoulders." He says, "Well, let me tell you something. You're young, your body's still growing. Even your bone structure can be rechanged if you train with this program." So I says, "Yeah, hey, I got nothing to lose." I mean, I wasn't making much progress still. So I said, "Hey, I might as well try it." And a lot of the guys in the gym thought he was a little nuts and didn't know what he was talking about. But I said, "You know what? Anybody else got any things for me to do? This guy seems to know what he's doing." I actually did that program. Squats, all high reps now, volume. Most people think you got to use tons and tons of weight to get more muscle. This was a whole volume workout. I supersetted squats with pullovers and dips with chins. That workout virtually took me about, what, 1 hour? Mm-hmm. And at the end, when I first started, I says, how am I really going to make any progress? But he says, like I told you, your bone structure can get bigger. Your rib cage can get bigger by doing what we call breathing pullovers. So we did 20 rep squats. Right after that, I did 20 rep pullovers. And after that, I did 3 sets of dips and chins. Believe it or not, in about 5 months, I gained about 25 pounds. It was absolutely incredible.
And what year was this in?
I started in oh boy, do I really have to tell the year?
Tell the camera, Bill.
1960. So what age does that put me at? I'll be 64, very proud of it in September. I have 9 grandkids and 4 kids.
Give him a front double bicep.
Now, this is what it all does for you. Right now, at this point in time, it's all about longevity. Yes, I'd love to be huge, but hey, let's put the cards on the table. I already did my thing. I won Mr. America, Mr. World. I've been in the Mr. Olympia several times, more than several times. Been in the film Pumping Iron. I think I reached my goal, and I just love working out at this point in time.
He's the legend, Bill Grant. I'm JJ James Jefferson. This is the MMA and Sports Xtreme Show, and we'll be right back.
Everybody was kung fu